Okay, so you know how we're always looking for those stories that really get under the skin of something? The ones that give you a proper sense of, well, what's actually happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, something pretty major has just kicked off in Malayalam cinema. And honestly,
Yeah.
it's way more gripping than any movie plot I've seen recently.
It really is. This isn't just your typical celebrity gossip or, some small spat on set. We're looking at a situation where a really prominent actress, Vincy Aloshious, has taken some incredibly bold steps.
Old is the word.
And in doing that, she's kind of blown the lid off a conversation about some, well, potentially quite deep-seated issues within a whole film industry. It's fascinating, really, watching it unfold. Gives you a real peek into that world.
Totally. And right at the center, it's Vincy Aloshious. Now, anyone who follows Malayalam films, they'll know her name. She's got serious credentials, films like Rekha, Jana Ganamana.
Won a Carol Estate Award, too.
Yeah, she's properly established. But now, suddenly, she's in the spotlight for reasons that go way beyond her acting jobs.
That's right. So on April 16th, 2025, this wasn't just her venting online or anything. She took formal action, filed an actual official complaint.
Okay, with who?
Both the Kerala Film Chamber of Commerce and the Internal Complaints Committee, the ICC, for her latest film, which is called Soothravakyam.
Right, the ICC. That signals it's serious workplace conduct kind of stuff.
Precisely. Filing formal complaints like that, it immediately tells you this isn't minor. It could have, pretty significant consequences down the line.
And the person named in these complaints, her co-star in Soothravakyam, Shine Tom Chacko. And he's an interesting figure, too, known for playing these really complex, sometimes quite dark characters.
Definitely. Very intense screen presence. And while Vincy's allegations suggest maybe some of that intensity or something else entirely was happening off camera, too.
So what exactly is she alleging? What's the core of the complaint?
It boils down to misconduct and what she describes as inappropriate behavior. But the really explosive part, perhaps, is the allegation of drug use on this set during the making of Soothravakyam.
Wow. Drug use on set. That ramps things up considerably, doesn't it? Raises huge questions about safety, professionalism.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, she didn't just stop at the film chamber and the ICC.
Oh.
Who else? She also went to AMMA. That's the Association of Malayalam Movie Artists.
The actors union, basically.
Yeah. So approaching them, too, suggests she was really looking for support from, every possible angle within the industry structure, determined to get this addressed properly.
Okay, but you mentioned something about online stuff, too. This wasn't the first people heard of it.
Right. That's what makes the timeline kind of fascinating. The day before she filed those formal complaints, so April 15th, Vincy actually posted a video on Instagram.
Ah, okay. Setting the scene herself.
Exactly. Giving her side of the story directly. And this came after she'd already made some waves earlier.
Oh, so.
She'd spoken at an anti-drug awareness event organized by the KCYM, I think, and pretty clearly stated that she wouldn't work with actors who use drugs.
Okay, drawing a line in the sand publicly?
Yeah, and that statement alone got people talking online, as you can imagine, so the Instagram video landed in that context.
So what did she say in the video? Did she name names then?
She did. She talked about specific incidents on the Soothravakyam set. One she described as cringeworthy. Involved Shine Tom Chacko apparently making an inappropriate comment about fixing her costume in front of the whole crew.
Oh, that's awkward. And unprofessional, surely.
To say the least. It speaks volumes about, power dynamics and basic respect on set. But she didn't stop there.
There was more.
Yeah, the more serious allegation. She described seeing Chacko during a rehearsal apparently spitting out some kind of white powder.
Whoa. Okay. She didn't explicitly say drugs, but...
The implication is pretty unavoidable, isn't it? Spitting out white powder during a rehearsal, it paints a stark picture.
And she linked this directly back to her anti-drug stance.
Explicitly. She made it really clear in the video this wasn't some grab for attention, not a publicity stunt. She said her speaking out now was a direct result of these experiences on that specific film set. It connects directly back to that principle she'd stated earlier.
Adds a layer of credibility, doesn't it? Sticking to her guns.
It does. And what also struck me was she mentioned that despite all this alleged behavior, she still finished the film.
Right, she saw the project through.
Yeah, emphasized her professionalism, basically saying she fulfilled her contract even though the working environment was, in her words, very challenging.
So, stepping back a bit, this whole thing, it feels like it taps into something bigger, doesn't it? These aren't exactly new whispers in Malayalam cinema, the drug abuse concerns.
Not at all. This has been bubbling under the surface for a long time. And you can't really discuss this without mentioning the HEMA committee report.
Ah, yes, that came out in 2024, right?
Yeah.
After a lot of investigation.
Exactly. And that report specifically called out a drug menace affecting film sets. So Vincy's allegations, they don't exist in a vacuum. They kind of echo findings from that official inquiry.
And how have other industry bodies reacted? Like the Women in Cinema Collective. They're usually quite vocal on these issues.
They were, immediately. The WCC put out a really strong statement backing Vincy, praised her bravery, called it a violation of her womanhood.
Strong words.
Very. And they used it as another opportunity to hammer home the need for mandatory, functioning internal complaints committees on every single film set. They see this as proof positive of why those structures are so critical.
So it's about this specific incident, but also about the systemic changes needed.
Precisely. It connects the individual case to the broader fight for safer workplaces.
Okay, so Vincy files her complaints on the 16th. Then what happens? Because the story takes another twist, right?
A very dramatic one, yeah. Almost reads like a movie script itself.
Yeah.
That same night, April 16th, the police raid a hotel. DANSAF, the District Anti-Narcotics Special Action Force, they raided a hotel in Kollur near the Lissi metro station in Kochi.
Okay. Any connection?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The reported target of the raid, Shine Tom Chacko, in room 314.
Wow, the timing. Literally hours after the complaint.
Exactly. It immediately fuels speculation, raises all sorts of questions.
And what happened during the raid? Did they find him? Arrest him?
Well, this is the next dramatic part. Reports started flying around, backed by CCTV footage apparently, that Chacko, well, he fled the motel.
Fled, as in ran away from the police.
That's the story, making a very hasty exit. Some reports even suggested possibly climbing out of a window.
Seriously, a window escape.
It sounds wild, I know. The CCTV footage apparently went viral, showing 2 people leaving in a hurry, and one was confirmed to be Chacko.
Okay, this is getting intense. So did they catch him later? And what about the room? Did they find drugs?
Here's the crucial bit. Despite the dramatic escape, the police officially stated they found no illegal substances in room 314.
Ah, so no drugs recovered.
None. The ACP for the narcotics cell, Abdul Salam K.A., confirmed Chacko was there. He did leave hastily, but since nothing illegal was found in the room itself, no case was registered based on the raid.
So he fled, but they had no grounds to charge him based on what they found in the room.
Correct. Which makes the whole fleeing thing even more curious, I suppose.
Has Chacko or anyone close to him commented on the hotel incident?
His mother, Maria Carmel, did speak out. She defended him, basically saying he's being targeted unfairly. And she said he gets scared easily, implying maybe that's why he ran.
A mother defending her son. Understandable, I guess.
Of course. But it adds another layer to the public narrative.
So let's swing back to the industry response to Vincy's actual complaint. The film chamber, what are they doing?
They seem to be taking it very seriously. The General Secretary, Saji Nanthia, promised stringent action. They've scheduled an emergency meeting for April 21st specifically to review her complaint.
Okay, so they're acting quickly.
And Nanthia made a pretty blunt statement, too. He was quoted saying, essentially, Shine Tom Chacko should have been banned long ago.
Wow. Okay, that implies this isn't the first time his conduct has been an issue for them.
It certainly suggests a pre-existing history of concern, doesn't it? That phrase long ago is quite telling.
And what about AMMA, the Actors Association? She complained to them, too.
They've also publicly supported Vincy. Jainer Chirthala, one of their officials, assured her of their full backing and said they wouldn't tolerate the kind of behavior alleged.
Are they investigating formally?
Yes, they've set up a 3-member committee, and Siba Hassan, Vinu Mohan, and Sarayu Mohan are on it.
Okay.
And Vinu Mohan specifically said they plan to hear Chacko's side as well, but then act swiftly. So again, a commitment to process, but also urgency.
So multiple industry bodies are now formally investigating. Anyone else getting involved?
Yes, the excise department.
Ah, because of the drug allegations.
Exactly. Since Vincy's complaint mentioned potential drug use on set, the excise department announced they plan to question her as part of a preliminary inquiry.
This ties into the bigger picture in Kerala, too, right? The government's anti-drug push.
Absolutely. The excise minister, M.B. Rajesh, specifically stated the government is taking these allegations very seriously, linking it directly to their wider campaign. So this has now gone beyond just an internal film industry matter. State authorities are looking into it.
And it's probably fair to mention this isn't the first time Shine Tom Chacko's name has come up in relation to drugs, is it?
No, it isn't. There was the fairly high-profile arrest back in 2015, cocaine possession, I believe.
Right. Though he was acquitted just this year, wasn't he, on a technicality?
Yes, acquitted due to a procedural lapse by the police during the investigation. But the arrest itself happened, and more recently, his name has sort of surfaced in connection with a drug peddler arrest, and there were rumors, which he denied, linking him to an Alappuzha cannabis case.
So there's a context there, a history that inevitably colors how people see this current situation.
Definitely. It adds a layer of scrutiny that wouldn't be there otherwise.
So when you pull all these threads together, Vincy's complaint, the Instagram video, the hotel drama, the industry reaction, Chacko's past, it really feels like this is about more than just one actor versus another.
Oh, absolutely. It shines a harsh light on those deeper issues we talked about, particularly the alleged substance abuse culture on some film sets. It's forcing a conversation that maybe many preferred not to have openly.
And it brings that HEMA committee report back into focus again, doesn't it? The disruption, the unsafe environments it talked about.
Precisely. And you see the WCC seizing this moment again, quite rightly, to push for those practical changes. They're not just asking for ACCs anymore. They're demanding they be mandatory, properly registered.
You want transparency too, right? Naming the ICC members.
Yes, urging producers to publicly disclose who is on the committee for each film. And they're directly calling on the government now to step in and actively ensure film sets are drug-free zones.
So a real push for both internal accountability and external regulation.
Exactly. And underpinning all of this is Vincy's own actions. You really have to acknowledge the courage involved.
Absolutely. Going up against an established co-star, making these kinds of allegations, there are potential career risks, surely.
Huge risks, which makes her decision to speak out even more significant. It suggests a deep conviction.
And she addressed that directly in her video, didn't she? Saying it wasn't about personal gain.
Yeah, she was very clear. Said her goal was about drawing workplace boundaries, establishing what's acceptable and what's not about seeking publicity or tearing anyone down personally.
It helps to maybe quickly recap who these two individuals are, just for context. Shine Tom Chacko, we mentioned. Intense roles. Films like Iadutha Kalathu, Jigarthanda, XX.
Yeah, built a reputation for playing complex, often edgy characters.
Yeah.
And then there's that background, the 2015 arrest, the recent acquittal, the other mentions, and now this whole hotel incident, which frankly leaves more questions than answers.
Definitely ambiguous, that escape. And Vincy Aloshious, quite a different trajectory. Came up through a reality show, right?
Yeah, started there, but has really proven herself as a serious actress. Winning the state award for Recco was huge. Roles in Vikruthi, Pamanti. She's built a really respected filmography.
And this public stance on principles, particularly about not working with drug users, that predates this specific incident.
It does. She made that statement at the KCYM event before the Soothravakyam stuff blew up. So her complaint now feels like a direct follow-through on a principle she'd already publicly declared.
Okay, so where do things stand right now? What happens next?
Well, we're basically in an active investigation phase on multiple fronts. The Film Chamber has its meeting on April 21st. We'll be watching to see what action, if any, they take regarding Chacko. Could be anything up to expulsion based on the Secretary's comments.
And AMA's committee?
Their investigation is ongoing. They need to gather evidence here from both sides, presumably. And then the Excise Department and the police are doing their preliminary inquiries into the drug use allegations specifically.
So a lot is still up in the air for Shine Tom Chacko. His immediate future looks uncertain.
Very uncertain, I'd say. Multiple complaints, the hotel incident adding fuel to the fire, plus his history. It's a difficult position for him within the industry right now.
And for Vincy, and maybe the industry more broadly, could this actually be a turning point, a moment that forces real change?
It has that potential, definitely. Her actions, combined with the existing push from groups like the WCC and the government's anti-drug focus, could create momentum for enforcing stricter safety protocols, making ICCs truly effective and tackling the drug issue more head-on.
So maybe less tolerance for behavior that might have been overlooked before.
That seems to be the hope, yes, that this becomes a catalyst for greater accountability across the board.
You know, listening to all this, it's clear this story goes way beyond just celebrity drama. It's hitting on some really fundamental issues.
Absolutely. Workplace safety, professional boundaries, the courage it takes to speak truth to power, industry accountability, it's all wrapped up in this one unfolding situation.
And for anyone listening, someone who likes to stay informed about, significant cultural shifts, this whole episode in Malayalam cinema is really quite revealing. It gives you insight into the pressures, the dynamics, the fights for change within a major creative industry.
It really makes you think about the power one individual can have to challenge the status quo, doesn't it? And whether that challenge can spark genuine, lasting change.
Which leads us to the big question hanging over all of this, I suppose. Will this be that catalyst? Will this lead to real, tangible reforms in Malayalam cinema, making it a safer, more accountable place?
Or will the headlines eventually fade? Will it become just another talked about scandal that ultimately doesn't shift the foundations much? It really makes you consider what it takes, individual action, collective demand, industry leadership, to create a truly better environment.
Something definitely to mull over. We hope this deep dive has given you a more rounded picture, a bit more context than just the breaking news alerts.
Yeah, there are a lot of moving parts here, and it's definitely a story worth following. Keep an eye on the news outlets for updates on those investigations and how the industry continues to respond. It feels like this isn't over yet.